Okay, we're preparing for our live stream webinar. And once I see it go live, I'm going to go ahead and queue up here for our, oh, there it is. We're live. All right, hi everybody. Welcome to the broadcast. Welcome to our stream. So thank you everybody who's watching live on YouTube right now and anyone who watches in the future. My name is Danny Zagian, and I am the lead instructor for the Actualize Online West, which Actualize, of course, is a coding bootcamp. And what you are about to see is this cohort, the graduating cohort of August 2018. You're about to see their projects being presented. So one of the best things about my job as a lead instructor at Actualize is that I get to work with some very motivated individuals. Everybody that you're about to see present is here on their own terms. They're here because they want to learn a new skill and potentially take their lives and their careers in a new direction. And many of the people that are here today actually have full-time jobs, and they do Actualize in addition to their full-time jobs, because Actualize is a part-time web development bootcamp. So that's really, really impressive to me. And everybody here essentially built their projects from the ground up. So using fundamental web development skills and knowledge that they've learned over the past 3-4 months, they basically built a project from ground zero all the way to what you're about to see being presented with, which is a full-fledged working web application. So being a part-time course means a lot, because these students have to essentially, outside of what they're doing in their normal everyday life, they also have to develop a developer mentality and learn how to teach yourself. And that's the #1 skill that we teach here at Actualize, is teaching yourself how to learn. And some students today actually have things incorporated in their projects that I didn't teach them directly, that they went online and figured out how to implement on their own, and then implemented those things into their projects. So the developer mentality is teach yourself something new. So with that, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to introduce Jay, who is the founder and CEO who built Actualize from a single class in Chicago to now a coast-to-coast programming bootcamp. And Jay is not just an administrative CEO, but he's really involved in the teaching side of what we do. He's very hands-on, and his passion for education has always been contagious, has always infected all of the lead instructors at Actualize, and he's made the bootcamp what it is today. So Jay, I'm going to turn it over to you to say a few words.
Okay, thank you, Danny. I guess you could say then that Actualize is my capstone project. So that's my contribution here. Yeah, I just wanted to underscore what Danny was saying about the graduates tonight. So like Danny said, our graduates, anyone who is an Actualize student by definition means that they are extremely ambitious and really put in their all, because like Danny said, many of our students work full-time. Imagine working by day, and then as you're exhausted in the evenings, attempt to actually learn to code, which most people wouldn't even attempt at all, given the fact that it seems to most people to be this very scary subject. So to tackle that after you're exhausted really shows the dedication and ambition of our graduates. And we're extremely proud of them. I personally am extremely excited to see all our capstone projects tonight. I'd also like to thank Danny herself. Danny is the lead instructor, and she gives her life and soul to her students, to her cohort. And really everything that you see here tonight is a result of her efforts and dedication. And she's also a fantastic teacher in person. I'd also like to thank teaching assistants, Stephen, and everyone else who helps out. And that's about all I have to say. I'm excited to see the capstone presentations.
Awesome. Thanks, Jay. Okay, so one of my amazing students is not able to be here in person tonight, but I was lucky enough to record her presentation with her in advance. So I've got her recording here, and I'm going to play it as the very first presentation. We're not going to be able to ask her any questions, of course, because she's not actually here. But at least she will be part of the experience, and we'll get to see her project, which turned out very awesome. So I'm going to play her presentation as the very first There we go. Okay, and this is Jen. Jen is, here we are. Okay, I'm gonna play Jen's project. Can everybody see that all right? Okay, cool. Okay, so let's do it.
Everyone, I am Jennifer Hasbrook. This is my SIP, excuse me, this is SIP.buzz. This is my wine tasting scheduler. Thank you, first of all, to Actualize and to Danny for making this recording possible. And also a special big thank you to my teammates and my classmates. It's been a great journey. The inspiration for my app has been that I have been to several wine vacations. I used to live in wine country in Oregon, and wineries notoriously have terrible technology. You often have to call them, and sometimes the people who answer the phone are out harvesting or not always in the office. So if you're trying to schedule a vacation, it can be really difficult to try to maximize your time. So this allows it to go online, one location, where you can have several wineries at one location, one site, and you can schedule your vacation. Since I live in Oregon, I think it's really helpful. I started with 3 models, wineries, users, and then appointments as my join. And we'll just get started. Okay, this is my home page. It is here. The content has not been thoroughly vetted or anything. It's mostly just filler. This is my carousel, my winery spotlight. This would change. Right now it's hard-coded, but it would change from time to time. So for example, this is Colleen Clemens Winery. It's very pretty. It does actually look like that. This is Bella Vita. I've never been there. I'm not sure if it really looks like that. One of the things or limitations of this theme is that when you go, when you scroll, you don't have a way of actually keeping track of text, so you can't really tell. So you'd actually have to be here. So I'm sure there's workarounds for that. I just haven't figured out what they are. Here's some more information and some footer. So to sign up, you just click on sign up. We will make Tamika, just because I saw her with wine sometimes. And it's pretty simple, nothing too complicated to start, sign up for your page. Like others, it takes you to the login page. I'm actually going to log into my own account. And when you log into your own account, it takes you to the wineries index page. Right now I have about 30 wineries in there, and they're all here. So if you click on tasting and winery information, it will take you to Adelsheim Vineyard. Chehalem Mountains is the region that it's in, which sometimes regions can be very important to wine tasters. Location, their website, description, varietals, information. And here's how I can make my winery appointment. I can see here they allow tastings daily from 11 to 4. So if I want to make my time for tomorrow at say 5 o'clock, or can't do that, let's say 3 o'clock p.m., I can create my tasting appointment, and it takes me to my user show page. On my user show page, it lists down here, it lists all of the appointments that I have for this user, and it also has the information. If I wanted to update my profile, if I wanted to change my phone number, or any of the other brief information, I could do that there. One of the fantastic things that I worked really hard on with some assistance is that I can change the tasting time here. You can see here, this one at Chehalem Winery is at 12. If I want to change this one to, let's say, 5 o'clock, I just click on update appointment, and it immediately changes it there. There's no need to reload the page, which was probably the fanciest thing about my application. So the auto update is the coolest. I think the other coolest thing, which I'm sure many of us have done, is combine pages. For example, this is a user show page, and it's also my appointment show page. the winery's show page is also the appointment new page. And so it was a real learning experience to combine those together. The difficulties I had were some with the CRUD, again, for those same reasons that it's cool, it can be difficult to combine those actions together. Like I mentioned before, the carousel didn't work as great, nor does my homepage. I think someone else had this problem too, where the homepage doesn't reload quite the way you want it to. This carousel wasn't quite as great. There would just need some modifications. On the whole, I'm somewhat pleased with it. Some future things that can really make and improve the user experience would be to add Google Maps, to have some sort of routing information. So if you're driving or having someone else hopefully drive you from tasting to tasting. I would love some of the logic on the wineries. For example, I have a 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock, but there's no logic necessarily included about, is that limited to the hours that they are open for tasting? So including that logic and so that you can only make appointments when they allow that would be fantastic. And then the last thing would be for the next version would be that wineries could create their own login. They could actually control, like Alexander Winery, maybe they're having a special right now or it's harvest time, so they could add information about what they're particularly tasting or something like that. I think that would be a great future use for it. Otherwise, it's been great to do it. A lot of learning. It's a little choppy, but I think it's a great first start. And as I reload my homepage, I'm going to say thank you, and that's it.
Okay. All right. That was Jen's presentation. I hope she's drinking a glass of wine right now and relishing in her project completion. Okay, cool. So obviously she's not here, can't ask her any questions about her project. But I know she worked super, super hard, and we spent a lot of hours together working on things and getting things going. She's super motivated. So good job to Jen. And the next student that's going to present that I'm going to pass it off to is the lovely Tanya. So Tanya, why don't you turn your screen share on for us and show us what you got.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you guys are all doing well. I had a lot of fun putting this site together and a lot of stress, as we can all imagine. But my site is called Design Your Wardrobe. Now, the thing that Design Your Wardrobe allows a user to do is to customize and make what they wear unique. Now, I'm sure we've all experienced, I know I have, you go somewhere, somebody else is wearing the same outfit that you're wearing. Now, I've often thought to myself, man, it would be really nice if I could just take what I'm wearing and have it be designed with a different fabric. I actually have a dress that I'm going to get reverse engineered. I'm actually going to have them pull the stitches out. I'm going to have them reframe it, and I'm going to have it redesigned. But the other thing that I've always wanted too is sometimes the clothing that's designed is just not designed specifically for me. You know, the fit is not quite right. Well, that's what Design Your Wardrobe is supposed to do. My goal is to have it to be something that you can actually take and customize. Now, one of the things that this site will do, it takes in your measurements. It allows you to pick a particular type of pattern. You can pick the different types of fabric, whether it be a cotton or a linen, and then you would have the yardage that you would choose. The other thing that's great about the site too is that you can actually do measurements do patterns for other people, which is really just a nice bonus that you can have. So if you have a family you've got daughters right now, this site will allow you to help to customize what they wear as well. So let's first go through the sign up page. I want you guys to see how that works. So as an example, sign up page, I'm going to use Danny. Woohoo! So Danny's name, here it is. And so Danny's going to enter her email. And then her password, which is actually me, but that's okay. Make sure I enter the right thing. Hit submit. And as you see, the sign up page, once you sign up, it actually leads you to log in again. So just because I want to kind of build it out, I'm going to show you a user that I've already put together. Her name is Marie. That's actually my aunt's name, so she was my inspiration to bringing this one up. Hit login, and as you can see, Marie has her measurements here. So this is 5'9". These are all of her measurements. We also have, with Marie, we have her daughters. She has Grace, Maya, and Linda. Now you'll notice with this site is that their names are highlighted. So when we select on the names, it actually brings up their measurement, but it also gives them an opportunity to create a new pattern. So as an example, I'm actually going to show you how that works. So Marie will have an option to pick either tops, bottoms, or dresses. So I'm going to pick a bottom for her. She decided that she wants this to be in a stretch woven type fabric. Now she's going to have slacks. So these are the yardage that's going to be available for her size and the amount of yards. So we'll say that Marie is a size 8. So that's between 6 and 12. So we're going to enter the yards here. Then we're going to enter the image. Now I've already got some images set aside for her. We're going to place that image here. Hit submit. Voila. So there's the new slacks that Marie is going to make herself. Now the other thing that this site does that's really cool is that Marie can actually go and see the other styles that she's already chosen. So as you can see, Marie decided she wants to make a beautiful blouse. She wants to make it in silk. She's also got a skirt that she wants to make herself. That's going to be in like a stretch woven fabric. We've also got another top that Marie wants, a dress, another top, and the new slacks that she put in. Now her daughter decided she wants a pair of stretch leggings. Her other daughter decides she wants to look really cool for the next dance, as you can see. And then the next daughter decides she just wants a simple top. Now, as far as the functionality of this site, the site is really cool because this is going to allow them to go back. Let's say it takes them a while before they're able to get the particular pattern that they want. Maybe they have the fabric that they want and they need to have it on order. No problem. This information is here waiting for them so they can actually go, they can have it here and then they can go and get it at the time that they're ready. Now, there's some things that I want to make sure that I do with this site just to make it more robust. Now, the first thing I want to do is I, of course, want to add men and women. So we want to make sure that Marie, she can add her husband, or maybe she's got a daughter, a younger daughter that's maybe 4 or 5. I want to make sure that we change the measurements to adjust for those situations. I also want to make sure that the site can do an actual index page. So let's say there's something completely different that the site offers. I want to be able to show a list of different patterns that she can go to at any time at a later date. The other thing that I really, really want to do, and that, you know, as I've been doing website design for only 3 months, I want to make a really robust API on the back end, because the whole idea is to be able to take in a pattern and adjust it for each person's measurements, and then put out the actual pattern so that they can actually take it wherever they want and really have it custom fit to their body type. I'd also plan on doing a static page for the different fabric choices to talk about cottons, to talk about linens, and how they're going to respond to the different patterns. And I also would like for the API to make suggestions on the different types of fabric that they can go with. So there you have it. Design your wardrobe, something that's going to be really fun, making it so that you can have your entire family be fabulous and classy. Woohoo!
Okay, thanks, Tanya. Everyone in the room is silently clapping. Nobody on mute. So good job, Tanya. Thank you so much for presenting your project. So I'm going to open it up to our first panelist for questions.
Okay.
I just realized I totally and completely neglected to introduce our awesome panelists that are here tonight besides Jay. So I'm going to open it up for questions and also let you introduce yourself on the webinar. So let me start with Daniel. Would you introduce yourself and then ask any questions that you've got for Tanya?
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am the front end engineer at Monster right now. So I'm designing our front end. Um, so first, at the front end look, I would say congratulations to Tonja. You have a beautiful design. It's very eye-catching. So you did everything well, and I highly believe that you did it in 3 months. Um,
Very difficult.
I have just right. The entire website looks sophisticated. The one question I would like to ask is when I saw your login page, I actually see a login with Facebook function. Is that something that's working right now, or is that you just added there?
That's something that's just added there. That's something I'd like to be able to do as well. It's a future ambition.
Okay.
But it doesn't work.
Okay. Right. So another question is, what part, when you know the journey that you have to take to have this website visible right now? So what part took you the most time to build, and what is the most difficult that you have to deal with?
You know, the thing I had the most difficult with, I'm a graphic designer by trade, so that's why I had to Danny had to kind of like hold me back from wanting to do more design, because I have to work on the concept of how the pages are going to work. I think for me that was a bigger problem than the Vue.js. The Vue.js was difficult, but the bigger problem to me was just like organizing in my mind what goes next, what page do I want to show, you know. I think once I get more, start doing this stuff more, I'll be able to mentally figure out what goes where and when. So I've gone from being a two-dimensional like graphic designer, it's only print, and now to me this is very 3D, and this is a part of me that I'm really figuring out and trying to work out all the edges and how it all makes sense when you go to a web page, to break it down mentally. That's the hardest part for me.
Got it. Yeah, I think being a graphic designer definitely helps you here. I think the design is very beautiful, and congratulations.
Thanks.
Cool. All right, thanks, Daniel. So now I'm going to open it up to our other panelists to just introduce yourself and ask Tanya some questions. So Diana, will you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Diana. I'm a developer at a small company in Chicago called Launchpad Lab. And first of all, congratulations to all of you. So your project looks great. So congratulations on that. It's very, I can tell you have like a design background. It's very, very pretty. But I guess you told us a little bit about some of the features you'd like to add and some of the difficulties you faced. If you had, first of all, do you plan on continuing to work on this after today? Or like, I guess I'll let you answer that first.
I would like to, because I really want to understand the whole big animal that I want to do. Because when I first came up with the idea, Danny's like, okay, you've only been doing this for a few months now. The API that I'm talking about doing, I know it's going to take months to put that together, because it's taking in the ideas. I want to actually take in patterns from Vogue, actually take the pattern and then resize it and reshape it based on the measurements that a person gives. So I know that that takes way more understanding than I currently have at this point. So I would like to continue it as I learn more and add more to it.
Awesome. What technologies were your favorite working throughout this project?
I really liked working on Ruby because I like the fact that it tells you where you're wrong. Where did you mess up? Whereas we were working on JavaScript. JavaScript was a trip because it would be like, hey, you got something wrong. I'm gonna go take a break while you figure it out. It like disappears. You're like, ah. Okay, you got it now. I'll work now. That's what JavaScript says.
True, I understand. I'm mostly a back-end developer, so I feel the pain with the front end sometimes. But yeah, only questions I have. I think you did a really great job. You've obviously done a lot in a small amount of time you have, so congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Yes, JavaScript is a sassy minx. Okay, and now I'm going to open up to Jay for questions.
Yeah, Tanya, this is awesome. Congratulations. This is a fantastic project. As a person who dresses very, very simply, this is just like blowing my mind. I'm working, I know my wife would catch on to this a lot more quickly than myself, but this is fantastic. So did you, I know you mentioned, working with JavaScript. Did you use a framework for the JavaScript, or was it just plain JavaScript?
We use Vue.js. Mm-hmm. And Bootstrap helped out a lot as far as, like the transitions, because there's still a ton of stuff that I want to grasp. I have ideas on what I want to do, but it's like, okay, how do I do them? So, I mean, it's just, that's what we used. So Vue.js.
Awesome. Awesome. Congratulations. This is an awesome project.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Tanya, for presenting. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our next student, who is going to be the lovely Asher. So Asher, why don't you take over?
Okay. Loading.
Fabulous.
All right, everyone can see. Okay, great. Hello, everyone. I'm Asher Milholland, and my site, as you can see from the home page, is called Green Center. And so my inspiration for making this was to be a center for sort of green ideas around everything, as you see in the topics in the nav bar, from energy to food, conservation, consumables, concepts. And I'm sure there's other ones that I forgot. Those were just what I could come up with in the time. Because I feel that there is just so many good ideas out there, and they maybe don't percolate enough and don't get enough attention, and maybe that's why they don't have the momentum maybe to cause change, because there's so many people in the world and the ideas are just dispersed. And I have seen websites that have this sort of thing, but it's usually kind of geared towards one thing and not maybe like a hub, or if there is, I didn't find it. So I wanted to create one because I spend a lot of my own time just kind of looking up this stuff, and I thought it would be nice to have a place to go for people. So building off what Tanya had said previously about it being very complicated, and realizing that it's actually only been 3 months is kind of interesting to me, fascinating. But the hardest part for me was trying to know where to start on this. We learned a lot of stuff in the 12 weeks, and to just say like, okay, put it all together was a little scary. So having the pre-work that was outlined by Danny and the course to set it all up, build out, what routes you're going to need and what models and what controllers and how things are going to go before you even start coding is so wonderful, especially for someone like me that's a little scatterbrained. I just kind of want to start doing things, and that would have been a very hot mess. So that was good. I'm glad that was established as a practice to do. So I will definitely do that moving forward, because it really helped focus the old brain. So now let's get into the presentation. So as we see, we have, let me bring my mouse over. We have the nav bar at the top, and right now we see that we have the home button, log in and sign up, because we are not logged in. So those are the buttons that appear now. And so if we wanted to sign up, we would obviously hit the sign up button. And we're brought to the sign up form, the sign up screen. And then for some reason, if we're like, oh wait, we already have an account, we could actually go there from here, to the login screen, which looks very similar. But we want to sign up so we can actually go back. Those buttons go away. So I'm going to just create somebody. Let's do tim@tim.com. That's a .com. We have an avatar URL. Tim T. And I'm going to try to sign up. And it says that a name can't be blank. So we have these checks in place that these fields need to be filled out so our user gets created correctly with the fields that we want them to. So we'll sign up. And we're redirected to the login screen, as many websites do, because now you're in the database, but you have to still log in. But I'm going to log in with someone that has some data so we can actually see some stuff. And we're going to sign in. And that brings us to our user page, our profile page, if you will. And now we see that the nav bar has changed. We now can make a new post because we're logged in. We can log out, obviously, and we have our profile button, which we're already on right now. So we have our avatar that we loaded, our name and our username. We can edit our profile if we want to, or delete it. But I don't want to do any of that right now, so I'm just going to come back. And actually, the users page shows all their posts that they have created. And actually, on this page, you can edit the post directly from this page as well as doing it from the post show page. And so we can go, I'm going to create a new post. We'll walk through that. So we'll see what the form looks like. I have some information that I'm going to pull in here. So just one sec. If only I could actually type this fast. That would be great. But we're doing this. We got a picture to put in here, and we're going to put the link. And then also on here, we have where we can now tag this post to certain topics, which was very interesting to program. This was probably the most difficult for me to understand and do, was getting these things to pass as an object from the back end and to be able to pull them out and have them tie into the topics once we go, and we'll see that. So I'm going to do, you don't know what this post is about, but you'll see it's about energy and conservation, and submit. And my homepage isn't reloading well, so I have to manually reload it so we can see our picture, and it's taking a long time. Okay, and if we scroll, actually, you know what? I'm going to search for that post I just made. So I have a search button here. We can search by title, and I had wind in the title. Maybe it's, maybe I didn't call it that. Oh, my page reloaded weird. We'll try this again. Okay, so it's on the bottom. I'm going to scroll to the top again to try to see if it'll let me search this time for it. It's not, but if I search a different word, maybe I'm just forgetting the word that's in it. If I search for water or food, those work as well. And then we can go into that post. And since this is me, Paul Jedi, I'm pretending to be him, I have this edit button available for me, so I can edit the post here. And I decide that I want this to be for everyone, and then I can submit those changes and edit the post. And I can see on the right here that those tags, when the person created the post, are showing up here. And so I can go to those topics directly from this show page. So if I go to food, it'll take me, which these are not correct, obviously, I was just playing around, but this will take me to the topic of food and show me all the posts that anyone has tagged that in. And I'm gonna go home, reload. And then I'm just gonna go into a post that's not Paul's and show that the edit button is not there. And we have this fake comment section right now, which eventually I would love to make real. And these social media buttons that for sharing as well, which are also not real, but would love to. And then the comment section down here. And I made a little footer. And these are actual links. I didn't set them up to open a separate window, but they are actual links. And once we go back to our profile, if we like, see that button work. And once we're done, we can log out, and we're all logged out. And I'm gonna reload the page so it's pretty again. But that's all I got. Besides future implementation stuff, but I'm sure I can leave those for questions.
Sure, yeah. I'm sure somebody will ask you about that. All right, the silent clapping has ensued. Always fun to watch. Cool, awesome. Thank you, Asher. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the questioning, starting with Daniel. So Daniel, questions for Asher.
All right. Yeah, I am amazed how well it's only 3 months can do such things. Um, First, I like the the layout choice that you did. It's a clean, elegant, minimal, minimalist, something like that. It's not very busy looking, very clear. One thing I noticed is you have a search button or the field behind your hero picture, like the big screen center you have. I would say that it's just like the land, the how to say, the landing page, right, or the landing picture, something like that. So you have the search function below it.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any reason you put it below it rather than on top of it? Is that a special reason?
No. I would just the way that the nav bar is on outside of the templates, and so getting the search to work in that way was going to be way difficult. And also, I tried to just position it above the picture, and with the way that the theme is, and it was throwing it all over the place. So this was where I could get it without having to pixel push it with random inline styles and stuff. So I just kind of left it there.
Okay, I got it.
Yes.
But I like the fact that you have a dynamic rendering when the rest of the page render based on the search results, right?
Yeah.
So I guess it's the function of Vue.js. It's the same with React, which I'm doing right now. It's very cool to do it. So it shows that your website is not static, it's very dynamic. So the content can be changed based on the input of the user. Very good, very cool. Thumbs up for that. So you mentioned during your presentation that one of your biggest challenge is to connect the front end to the back end, right? To the Rails back end.
Yeah.
Right. So you submit the post, and then you have some difficulty there. Get it back, get it pushed to the API, and you get it back, right? So how did you solve the problem that you say? How did you get the post to work?
So yeah, the post itself was fine just to create. It was that the join table, which is post topics, to be able to have that show on the post create page and tag them, and then send that through was very difficult. I had some. I was touched by an angel. Had some guidance from Danny, helping me figure out how to actually call that, because I wasn't understanding that I needed to pass that as a separate object, and to be able to call that. So I would say perseverance and help from Danny, and just trial and error, I guess.
Good answer. So that's all I have to say and comment on this. Congratulations, you have a wonderful product.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Daniel. All right, so I'm going to open up questions to Diana.
So first of all, also congratulations. It looks great.
Thank you.
The concept for someone who isn't as green. Very, very useful information. So you kind of got it just through how it works, but I was just wondering if there's any features that you'd like to add if you had more time, or what some dream features you would like to add if you had more time to study the topics and really make this bring it to its full potential.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, the templates were great. As we got more practice, it made more sense, and I was able to kind of implement stuff a little faster. But I think all of us felt it at first when we did it. We were like, I don't know what to touch. There's so much code. So there'd be a lot of stuff I couldn't get. We didn't have enough time to figure out how on the topic show page, I have different topic pictures in the database, but we could not get them to work on their pages because it was asking for a URL and their, image sources from the database. So that would be nice to do. I noticed also when I was going through this on the topic show page that you can't click on a post. Like I didn't build that, and just like little things also in the background. But like I said, those social media buttons, the comments, it'd be really nice to favorite something. So, you know, if I like this, I could just favorite it that way. It's like on my profile. If I like just want to like have a collection, kind of like Pinterest, I guess. And yeah, that sort of thing where I could go, if I like, say Danny posts a lot of things that I like, I could follow her too, and then just see that more easily. So I guess lots of things, lots of little things, but.
Yeah, thank you. Great job.
Thank you. Great question.
All right, and Asher, I think we were a couple of keystrokes away from getting that,
I know.
that image to show. We're gonna do it. All right, and last, I'm going to open up the questions to Jay.
Yeah, Asher, this is a fantastic project. It's really cool to see all the different features that you managed to cram in such a short time, and also a really useful project as well. I'm curious, I know you went out of your way to highlight that, you know, when you sign up, if you're missing a field, you know, it catches you and doesn't let you complete that account. How did you implement that under the hood? Are you using, is that a Rails thing or a JavaScript piece or Devise, or what are you using under the hood for that?
Yeah, it's a Rails. I want to say knock, Sean.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So you just write the authorization, like it needs a unique name and that sort of thing. You just.
Okay.
That's as well as I can explain it.
Yeah, very cool. Awesome project, Asher. Congrats.
Thank you.
Okay, sweet. Thank you, Asher, for presenting your project. Okay, and the next student that I've got presenting is going to be, I believe it's Jerry. So why don't you go ahead and start your screen share and present your awesome project.
All right.
There you go.
Okay, you guys can see it. That's great. So this is Fit Journey, but before it was Fit Journey, the general idea was that I wanted a centralized place to document all my goals. And it was very personal to me because I'm very goal driven and I have goals around public speaking. I have goals around fitness. And I also have goals around finance and what I want to do with money. So at first, when talking to Danny about the project, she said, you need to narrow it down. So that's exactly what I did. And I knew that a challenge I was going to have while taking this course and working full time was the fact that I wasn't going to have as much time to go to the gym. Sure, I could still do it, but it'd be really stretched. So I decided to tackle a problem where you track your meals, you write and reference what you're hoping to accomplish with your fitness, and they say you are what you eat. So I decided to tackle that problem throughout this project and deciding to focus in on fitness. Just like when Amazon first started, they focused on selling books very well. So thank you, Danny, for helping me narrow my focus. So I broke that down and I created a minimal viable product. And as you can see, it's a place where you can monitor your health journey. You can track your meals and you can document and reference your goals, as you'll see in this next slide. So I'll go ahead and take you through what it's like to sign up. So I'll go ahead and click on sign up. I'll just type random name like Jack at Gmail. Oh, actually, that's not the name. It's Jack. So Jack at Gmail. I'll just put a simple password. I'll click submit. We're redirected to the login page. And I think in the future, I would definitely want to have some kind of message here that says you have successfully created an account, log in. For now, we'll go ahead and log into my account, which has some data that I'd like to show. So I'll go ahead and log in. And the first place we're going to navigate to is my profile. Here, as you can see, I showed user ID too, because that was actually one of the core challenges of my application. Everything revolves around the user. So we had to add some current user logic, and we had to make sure that authentication wasn't getting in the way, which it definitely did. But in the end, we were able to demonstrate a profile with some attributes that are personal to me as well. And I documented those here on this page. I'm trying to increase my vertical, had some strength exercise. Everyone knows that I love basketball. So my favorite activities are basketball, biking, and a few others that I've listed. If I wanted to add anything, like maybe I definitely need to work on my stretching, I can put that in here. I can submit, and it's now reflected on the page. I wanted to create a good user experience. So I put some things that are already available in my nav bar down here. So if I wanted to view the meals that I already have logged, I can go to view meals. And using Bootstrap's amazing technology, I'm able to display this with a row and 3 cards across the way. And this made me self-conscious because these are actually meals that I ate. And maybe I want to eat less jalapeno chips because they're high in calories and carbs. And in order to lose weight, you have to watch your carbs. So go back to all the meals, and maybe I want to eat more of the chicken thighs, even though eating lots of chicken can get old. But it has 200 grams of calories and 0 carbs, apparently. One thing that I wanted to make sure was fully built out was logging a meal. And I implemented something here that is just, you need help finding your nutrition facts, you can check out MyFitnessPal. MyFitnessPal allows you to easily search a food. So let's say I want to search like pistachios. Oh, that's not how you spell it. And I put search. It will show me a list. They don't have pictures, but I can just say, okay, it's about 130 calories, 11 grams in fat. So I can start, putting something else. And I actually made it so that even if I put this lowercase, it's all going to appear in uppercase. So I'll put this as a snack. And I'll just type some numbers here. And that's actually something that I would want to implement in the future, was make it easier for a user to log a meal, meaning maybe I can have an attribute, which I actually do in the backend, called UPC code, which is that barcode you see on all your meals, your snacks. And if you were to type that in, it would do an API request to either MyFitnessPal or some other food API and bring you all this data back: calories, protein, fat, carbs, etc. For now, I'll go ahead and log that meal. As you can see, I logged it twice, but that's okay. Maybe I can add some logic in the future to take care of that. But if I view the nutrition facts, I can see that those were successfully logged. All these are integers. So I hard-coded the G in my code so that it shows up after the number. And the other cool thing was how I made this nav bar to work. This was not my nav bar. This was theirs, the template I chose. However, I really liked it. So I understood the code, took their class, and implemented it. So I want to show you how something that they have that I put into my project called Calories Burned by Heart Rate. So I'll go ahead and load that. And it should already have my information pre-populated. I will go ahead and put a heart rate of 140, 30 minutes, and it'll calculate 400 calories for that amount of time with that heart rate. The other thing that could probably be useful, especially to people starting on their fitness journey, is how many calories you burn by activity. So if you put your weight and you select sleeping, because you do burn calories when you sleep, as you shall see. And let's say you're just on a computer all day. As you begin your journey, you calculate, and hey, you're already off to 1,510 calories. So now you just got to do more of these and you'll be well on your way. Yeah, this is a great experience. And I definitely, besides the API implementation, I definitely would want to add maybe a functionality where you can post pictures of your progress, and also post pictures of places you want to go, where you want to hike, things you want to do with fitness. And I think that would be a very inspirational place where you can always reference when you're on your fitness journey. Thank you, everyone.
Hey, silent clapping. Awesome. Thank you for sharing your awesome project, Jerry. So I'm going to open up the floor now to Daniel to ask some questions.
Okay. Hi. Yeah, you guys all have the things right here. Um, Look at this website. I actually don't have a lot of comment or like feedback. This really looks well and okay to me. Um, it's just one thing I would like to kind of elaborate more is, did you build out the calculation, the calculators, the calorie, the burning calories? Did you do it yourself using the form? Or is that something that you make use of the API, something like that?
Yeah, I wish I had built that out. And actually, that's something I want to work on after this course, maybe through the follow-ups, is I didn't actually build that out. The template I chose already had those calculators, but I had a hard time because they were static HTML pages and they were not view routes, but I made sure that they were view routes by the time the project was done. But yeah, that's definitely something that was already included. It was just a matter of how do I incorporate that into my current project.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it is part of the template that you took, right?
Yeah, just
okay.
that was the only component. Everything else was built myself. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Um, yeah, man, it actually is awesome. Um, just, just just one part is my concern is when you show me the meals.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, you mentioned during your presentation that you use Bootstrap. I think it's a grid layout, right? That you use. You render three columns with a lot of rows here. Um, Looking at it page, because I see all the pages is really clean and clear with not a lot of information. But just a little bit suggestion is kind of a lot of information. You might want to limit it somehow, or if you have a lot of meals and it just lists everything here. You can't put in some tags so it display less information like breakfast, lunch, or dinner, something like that. But other than that, it looks really well, really okay. You did everything right. Not a lot of layout problems. So I say zero at all. So really good job. Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Diana, question.
Yeah, so great job. It looks really clean, very nice. I love the functionality. Very well thought out. My only question is really like maybe you telling us a little bit more about what was the most difficult part of the whole project, because overall it looks really well done. So just wondering what parts did you get stuck on? How did you approach that? Like, how did you solve the problems?
Yeah, user authentication was not my best friend throughout this course. I had to comment out that line many times and then put it back in. And I think in the end, I left it out and it worked. So that was one key challenge. The other one was just making sure that I was able to make my homepage a little more dynamic, because as you can see, it shows that bar. Kind of have to do a refresh for this slider to actually show. So definitely would want to address why is that happening. And it seems like the core problem is on the homepage, because if I refresh this, then other things are showing just fine. So those were some key challenges throughout the project that I had to deal with.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, and Jay.
Yeah, congrats, Jerry. This is a great project. And this is the one that I really should be using since I definitely share a lot of these goals with you. I really like the idea of like seeing all those meals, and it's like what is slowing me down, right? It's like you see, oh, well, I'm eating jalapeno chips. It's like that might be part of it. Yeah, it would be really cool, I guess, like a future feature, that now that I look at it is, if you put in your daily, I mean, I don't know if you can imagine you eat all these things every day,
No,
but
not
if you
every
put
day.
in like, if you put a daily thing, it could add up like your total calories. Like if you say I ate these 5 things today, and it could tell you like the grand total for the day. That'd be a really cool feature to see. And it looks like you have like most of the components in place where you could probably add that pretty easily.
Absolutely. Yeah, reporting is actually one of my models, but I didn't get there. So it's definitely a future component.
Okay, awesome. Okay, congrats, Jerry. I really like it.
Thank you.
All right, sweet. Thank you, Jerry. Okay, so the next person that's going to present is going to be Dwayne, the fabulous Dwayne. You're up, Mr. Cox. Don't forget to take yourself off of mute.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Arc of the Whammy Net. What am I looking at? What are we doing here? So there's been so many questions asked, I had to do a frequently asked question link, and here it is. This website is basically the notion of how do we make the world a kinder place? And how do we stop the Elvis intro song as well? So what I wanted to do was like do something that makes the world nicer and kinder and sweet. And it's sort of a combination of the movie Pay It Forward, do something nice, give it to someone else, they do something nice, and Where's George, which is an internet site that basically tracks dollars. And it's just kind of fun. It's like, hey, I have $1, where's it been? So the combination of the two is what I'm up to here, basically. So you can sign up and you can do something nice, and then you basically will hand someone $1 that is traceable, and they will either choose to do something nice themselves, or they will just use the dollar as a dollar. So let's walk through a little bit of the functionality. I find it a little ironic at this point that no one has showed any code. So I'm going to do that. Jerry mentioned, and I believe pretty much everybody sort of struggled and needed a little hand, and we got it with how to make sure the right user is logged in. If I do an act of random kindness, you shouldn't be able to go in there and update it and say, no, he didn't really do this, that kind of thing. So the get user ID function is witnessed thoroughly throughout my application. And so to speak backwards to that, I believe most of you know, but just for discussion's sake, we have a Rails app, we have Vue.js, I have a little bit of Bootstrap. My aesthetics, I know I'd like to work on further. That's one of the questions, at the end. But so essentially, you sign up, and here we go with our sign up as I just fill in. Okay, so that was one of the other things a fellow student of mine was saying, and I agree. I'm from the old school. I was a programmer for 10 years. There was a lot more communication in the old days about what you were doing on your website. So that is something I'd like to implement further down the road, as well as saying, hey, yeah, you just signed up, congratulations. Okay, so I log in. I sign up. I like to have a little bit of fun with the world. So along the lines of the purple hippos, you can check yourself, you can wreck yourself, or you can build an arc. This website is all about building an arc, basically. Overall, it's a huge CRUD. It's create, which is build an arc. And down here is where you can go to a website that, again, another thing I'd like to implement later is like a canned list of things that are random acts of kindness. So I didn't spend a lot of time on this, obviously, because I was trying to get all of my bugs murdered and get everything working properly. So you can still do what you want to do here. So for example, let's say we want to send postcards to sick children. So we would put that in our description. We could put an image in, but I will spare you that. And then the location will be from home. Submit. So I've used this potential ARC, act of random kindness, a few times. That's not the one in question, but here it is right here. So basically, this is our index page, which shows all the acts of random kindness that have been entered into this database. So you have your sign up, you have your login, you have your user zone, which I showed, basic CRUD, and then you can log out. You have an inspiration page, which says, you know, hey, let's do something nice. You have a list of your ARCs, which is your index page, showing everything that's happened so far. You can build an ARC, which we just did. And this is the dollar part, which is really not, it's not part of the MVP other than just like display versions. So I use the random function in Rails to create a dollar number, if you will, although it technically should have a serial, a letter at the beginning and a letter at the end. But then what happens is you do this act of random kindness and a dollar is attached to it, and then you can see what happened to it. So I might do this act of random kindness where, for example, this is, you know, maybe grandiose, but I saw this guy and he was delivering produce to a local restaurant that I was walking out of. I was about 70 yards out the door, and I'm like, I should hold the door for this guy. So I went back to the door and I held the door, and I just logged it here because it made sense for this project. And then I would log it. But next step, I would hand this guy $1 and it would have a link to this website, and you know, he could choose to come here and pay it forward, or he could just choose to use that $1 and think I'm a weirdo for handing him $1. So essentially, really the hardest part was getting variables to pass from Ruby into JavaScript, and I did get a lot of help with that. In the future, I touched on a few things. Essentially, I'd like to improve the aesthetics, and I'd like to get the actual literal dollars involved with the website so that, hey, you want to do an act of random kindness? Here's $1. Please go do it, and then come on back and you know, update the website saying, I've done this and I feel good about myself today. And that's it.
All right, awesome. Yes, the world does need more kindness, and Dwayne is here to make it happen. Okay, so first up, I'm going to open up some questions to Daniel.
Hi.
Hello, Daniel.
Mr. Cox, or you can say Wayne, right?
Whatever makes you comfortable, sir.
Right. I just want to make sure I have your name right. First, really interesting idea. So the first question is, you didn't use any kind of template, right?
I mean, as far as like literally answering that question, I mean, the templates were actually, you know, part of the Vue.js code, but I do have a Bootstrap theme. I did not finalize implementing that, if that's what you're asking. No.
Okay, got it. The fact I'm saying that is because you showing the your code, your source code, and you kind of really focus on your MVP. I believe that is a good thing. You can't worry about the layout or the presentation later. But if you have a really good core MVP, then it really speaks out about your product. And I appreciate you showing to all of us your source code, because you never know that I may copy a line or two, you know. Uh, um, yeah, so I really like the idea, and you want to spread out the kindness, right? And you just have an idea. You must be a really nice guy, I believe. And just one concern is like, I see you mentioned that you use Bootstrap here and there. How you gonna do with the layout overall? Like how to you put in things in the center, or things left, or things in the right? Is that a big challenge for you?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, honestly. I was a back-end developer for 10 years. I came to the camp because I wanted to get fresh again, and I wanted to get back to coding. I wound up in data for some years. And I have a lot of improvement to make in that area, as well as wanting to have a little more motivation in that area. So yes, I'm aware, and I would have liked to have been further along than I am.
Great, awesome. I really like your product, and congratulations. And I think that your idea is really interesting. Congrats.
Thank you, Daniel.
Okay, I'm gonna open up to Diana.
Hi. So
Hi.
great work. I really like the concept. It's obviously a very noble cause to try and bring more good to the world. I think you did pretty well overall. I really like the concept, like I said. Could you just explain the dollar portion a little bit more, or elaborate how that would work or how you would track it?
Sure. I mean, basically relational database. So each dollar that gets created has a ID, and with each ID comes a serial number. What would need to happen in the real world is me looking at that serial number and actually allowing someone to put it into the website saying, oh, hey, I have this dollar that somebody did this nice thing for me. And they would enter it in, and then they would do something nice. And then you would see this page, you know, a show page that would say, oh, here's where this dollar has been. Liz went out and saved 19 rats from extermination. You know, Daniel helped his brother move, you know, that kind of thing. So you would see where this dollar has been, and people would just be doing these nice things, and you would have a audit, essentially, of what's happened. It's kind of like Where's George? I don't know if you've seen that.
But I like the concept.
Thanks.
I think also what would be cool, like maybe an expansion of that, maybe the person who gives the dollar, maybe having them log that value somewhere in your, you can actually look it up and see how other people have used it.
That was something that I was looking at, and I did not get comfortable to the point of finishing.
Yeah.
So, you know, like you get close to the end and you're like nervous about not having any bugs when you run it in front of people. So I didn't want to step on myself.
Yeah, for sure. But you definitely have like the stepping stones to get there. So great work there. And yeah, congratulations.
Thank you, Diana.
All right, and Jay.
Congrats, Dwayne. Really awesome project. Very, very brave of you to show your code, I must say. So that's really cool. It actually looks, I've been looking at the code since it's been up for a while, and it looks great. I mean, it shows how how much complexity goes into all of these projects. And I will put out there, I do like the look. I think it's a Reddit kind of look. So I think you can just go with that. what would you say, what is like the very next feature that you would add to this?
When you create an arc, you know, it's like, I couldn't believe I discovered this so late in the game. So you create this act of random kindness, you immediately should go to that page and see what you've just done. And what I have right now is you wind up on the home page.
Uh-huh.
So that would be the first change I would make. I would also put in like a list of the top 10 arcs rather than making somebody go to a website and say, you know, why don't you pick this out?
Yeah, awesome. I think the concept is brilliant. Very, very cool. Congrats, Dwayne. Really like it.
Thank you, Jay. You're very kind.
All right, sweet. Thank you so much, Dwayne. And yes, thank you for being brave and showing us some of your code and revealing the source code for Daniel to steal. Okay, so our next presenter is going to be Michael. So Michael, why don't you turn on your screen share and take over?
Hi, I'm Michael Gallipo, and this is Volunteer Web. The genesis of this app really comes out of personal experience. I've been in leadership roles in volunteer organizations for over a decade, and I know the need for volunteers is constant and is constant across almost all organizations that I know of. On the other side, I was once tasked by a company that I worked for to join a community organization or a board, and that process turned out to be more complicated than I felt it really should be. And out of that came this application, which is designed to match organizations with potential volunteers. What you see currently is the landing screen. There's very limited functionality at this point. Users really drive this. So until you're logged in or you have an account, I didn't want you to be able to do a whole lot. The menu items up top will change depending on whether you're logged in or have an account. I will show you the new account creation page. I'm not going to walk through it all because I tied the creating a user account in with the whole profile. So it's a lot of text and data entry. The one thing I did want to highlight though, there is some functionality in here on whether as a member you want to be visible or not. And that lets you, if you choose yes, then you will show up, you can be searched by users and you will show up as members of organizations. If you choose not to, then you won't. I will log in a user quickly. Now that I'm logged in, you see your menu items have now changed. You can log out, you can go to your user profile page, or you can search users. I'm going to go to Stephanie's profile page first. You can see that she has chosen to be visible. You've got a bio. She is affiliated with Portsmouth Pro Musica, which is the chorus that I sing in. If I want to edit her information, so let's say I want to take out volleyball. Submit. You can now see the volleyball is gone. Now, if I go to, this is the organization index page. This is really the heart of the app in terms of organizations. All the organizations have been assigned to categories. That's the one, most of this, I designed the text entry to be free form. The categories are the one thing, after discussing it with Danny, that I hard coded in. As a result, you can, that's all of the organizations that are in the app currently, but you can also filter. So if you want to see arts and culture, you want to see animal organizations. So we're going to go to this one because Stephanie is not a member. So you see she has the ability to become a member. She also has the ability to, the only thing she can do is go back to the index. She can't do anything with the organization itself. You can also see that you've got more detail. You've got a more detailed description here. You can see the people that in the app that are members, and you have much more detailed contact info on the organization. So she can now become a member. She'll take you back here. Now I'll show you Portsmouth Pro Musica, which she was a member of. Here, she's got additional functionality. She can edit the organization. She can delete the organization. She can also delete her membership in the organization. So that changes because she is a member, and you can see her listed at the members down there. We go to the edit organization, you get another form. we'll change this. We'll change the needs to, let's say we need some concert ushers. Submit that. And now you can see in the needs that that did get written into the database. Now I want to show some of the functionality if you are not visible. So we will log in a different user. As it turns out, Captain America is a member of my app. He also happens to be, as you can see here, he's a singer. So he also happens to be a member of my chorus. Little known fact. Now, as you can see here, he does not show up in our membership list because he had chosen to not be visible for obvious reasons. You know, superheroes may not want to be part of mainstream apps, but the app does recognize that he is a registered user and that he is a member of Portsmouth for Musica because he has the delete membership button. The same logic applies if you search for a user. You search, and this will search their skills category, because if I'm an organization, I may want to find users with certain skills. I'm the president of a local youth lacrosse organization, so I might want to find people with coaching experience or lacrosse experience. This functionality lets you search that. Now you can see it does list a couple of people that have singing in their skills. However, Mr. Rogers does not show up because he elected to not be visible. One thing which I hadn't really intended, I've discovered the way I wrote my search logic, this works if you just use a blank field, then you wind up with all of the users in the app. I had chosen to not show an index like this because for most organizations, I don't know that it would be terribly useful, but it is, that functionality is there, and I thought it was useful to show all the people that are in the app. And that is really all the core functionality of Volunteer Web. Looking back on the project, some of the successes, some of the stuff that happened pretty quickly and easily. Danny pounded RESTful routes into our heads over the last 12 weeks. So that part actually worked pretty well. The Rails backend to a Rails front end to Vue, that stuff really fell into place pretty quickly, as well as the database structure and the associations of the various tables. While we struggled with that a lot at first, for this app, that all fell into place pretty quickly. Some of the stuff that was more challenging, more difficult, as a couple of people have already alluded to, the current user functionality was pretty tricky. Those membership buttons, being able to join and delete yourself from organizations, especially because my member table was a join table. And so being able to recognize whether you're in the organization and then delete that and then delete it out of the join table, that was definitely challenging. The search functionality, because I didn't want to just start with a user index page and filter the way I did with my organizations, to be able to plug that search term into one page, hop to another page, keep the search term and pull up the users that it applied to, that was also pretty tricky. Looking forward to the future, some of the things that I would love to see this app be able to do is have some event functionality. Obviously, a lot of organizations either do events for fundraising or, say in the example of my chorus, that's really our whole reason for being our events. So I'd love to have that. I think I would love to add some search functionality to organizations and overall improve the search functionality. And social media stuff would be great. I'd love to be able to link to Twitter feeds and that sort of thing. And finally, I'd love organizations to be able to post specific positions, not necessarily jobs, because look, there's a million job boards out there that do it a lot better than any app like this could. But maybe you're just looking for something more specific than general skills. You're looking for a specific board position or some other, limited time, not paid. You're not going to put it on Monster or Indeed or any of those. So I'd love to have that kind of functionality too.
Yay.
That's what I got.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. Michael wrote some really cool algorithms actually on his front end to do some of the logic, and I witnessed that to see who's connected to what organization. So props to you on writing some of that cool logic. I'm going to open up the questions to Daniel.
Hi, Michael.
Hi.
Thank you for the presentation. I think your website actually works and achieves the product, achieve the purpose of what you're trying to do. I'm actually really surprised because by looking at your index page and when you show me user page, the event page. There's a lot, actually a lot under the hood that you put in there. Um, so the index page could be a little bit more, make it a little bit more complex, but actually you have a lot of things to do it right, a lot of information here. I'm really impressed. Um,
Thank you.
and so just one thing I'm just curious, like you mentioned about your Rails and the Vue.js, the front end and the back end of your app. So which one that you think is more challenging and which one you enjoy doing more, whether the front end or with the back end?
The Vue.js part was definitely the most challenging. I think partially because we spent more time on Rails overall. And my feeling is the syntax on the Vue and just Java in general is more finicky. For lack of a single comma, your entire app crashes. As far as enjoy, I think probably the back end. Although, I mean, I enjoy both the front and the back end. I definitely do not have Tanya's visual flair. If you merged us together as a person, you'd probably have the perfect web designer of all time. But my background, actually, I come out of finance and analysis, so that sort of the logic of the back end makes a lot of sense to me.
Right, got it. Well, I think you got it right there because I'm the front end. I write in JavaScript every day, and I understand that it is not a language that is very easy on you. Like you have to a lot to check for errors and things like that. So I would say that Ruby is better than that. I would say. So, but thank you for the capstone. I think it really gets MVP down, and congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Daniel. I think fusing Michael and Tanya as a human being might be the most interesting thing of all time. And now I want to know what that is. All right, so I'm going to open up questions to Diana now.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I think you kind of mentioned this with Daniel's question, but so you mentioned the difference or how you worked with both Rails and Vue. My question is that I know while you're building this project, you usually start building it early on in the class. So when you're still learning Rails, and then later on, you've been building it for a while, and then you start learning JavaScript and adding that into your application. Now that you finished the course and knowing what you know now, is there anything you would approach differently now that you have like a bigger experience?
Anything I would approach differently? One thing that I guess I found a little trickier with JavaScript, and I was talking to Danny about it at the very tail end, too late to try and implement any of it. There was some functionality I wanted to be able to sort of refresh some of the data more interactively on the page. Like for instance, when if I clicked the join the organization, I would have loved to have re-rendered that without going back to the home page or something, re-rendered that, reflecting now that you are a member, changing the button and that sort of stuff. So that I would definitely, something I would have loved to have tackled a little earlier. It was just one of those problems I didn't really realize I had until it was too late.
For sure. Is this something you want to continue with after the course?
I'm sorry?
Is this something you want to continue working on after the course?
Yes, absolutely. I had a lot of fun with this. And like I said, there's certainly a lot of avenues that it could go down.
Great work.
All right, sweet. Thank you, Diana. And lastly, Jay.
Hey, Michael, I think this is a fantastic project. Really, really well thought out. There's a lot of great functionality here. I'm actually curious, since Danny mentioned, she alluded to some complex, algorithms and stuff. Curious if you could, I don't know, maybe elaborate on an example of that, perhaps.
Sure. Yeah, like I said, the although it sounds simple, sort of that being able to join or unjoin an organization, because my members table is just, it's a simple join table with my user ID and my organization ID. When I thought about having to destroy that, then it was, well, wait, how do I figure out what link I'm actually destroying? So I found a way to pull in that member data and link that up with my current user in order to find the right destroy route on the back end.
It definitely sounds complex. Awesome, thank you.
But it was really satisfying when it actually worked.
For sure. Yeah, no, Michael, this is a great project. I'm really impressed. Nice job.
Thank you.
Yes, awesome. Thank you for sharing, Michael. And yeah, silent claps. Okay, so the next person that's going to present is going to be Liz, my lovely rat lady.
Hello, everyone. I am Liz, and I develop Animalia. So the idea of this app came because of this guy that I'm going to introduce to you guys. His name is Scampy. He was my emotional support animal. I suffer from panic attacks, and I heard that you could train a rat so the rat could let you know when you're about to go into a crisis. And I got a rat and I trained him. So every time I was going with too much on me, Scampy used to pull on my hair and cuddle with me. And that reminded me to breathe and slow myself down. One day, Scampy got super sick and I took him to the vet. And the vet told me, I don't know where, we have to put him down. His heart is failing. My world collapsed. So I didn't believe the vet. And I went out and I tried to reach out for every way I could for help. And help came. And all my rat needed was a medicine. And he was fine for another 2 years, which is pretty long life for a rat. That made me pretty happy. So my idea from Animalia came from that experience. My idea is to give people a platform so they can ask questions to other people about their pets. If I have a rat and there are rat experts out in the world, I want to know what they know. What's the best way to interact with this animal? What should I expect of this animal? What's the kind of interaction? What would be the best age to have this animal? Different levels of information. So this is my homepage. This is my main page. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna sign up. Just because I talk about my lovely Scampy, we're gonna create a Scampers. The email is gonna be scampy@gmail.com because nobody else has that email. My password is gonna be test, and let's sign up. And it takes you over here. I'm gonna actually go sign up with self actually, just because. So now that I, hello? Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yes.
You were gonna see that in my nav bar, I don't have my, I have my log out now instead of my login. That was some changes that I coded. And here I have different cards of exotic animals. This is a platform specifically for exotic pet owners. There's enough information out there about dogs and cats. I have 9 beautiful animals that are not traditional because I'm a rat lady. I'm gonna go with rats and I'm a good community member. And I actually have a question about my rats. So I'm gonna go ask a question. And I have a question right here. Pretty much, I just adopted more animals and my animals don't get along amongst themselves. I'm gonna be help. And over here, this is a really cool feature. It took me a long time to implement. I'm not 100% happy with it because I couldn't get the theme to show on the drop-down menu, but at least I'm happy that the functionality is there. And I'm gonna add a cute image right here. And I'm gonna post it. And here it takes me to my rat questions. So I'm gonna go ahead, take a look, where is my question? And here it is. Liz asked for help on Friday, August 3rd. And here's just a brief information about my question. Let's go check it out. And right here it is. No, I don't know why the image didn't work. Probably I pasted it wrong. Oh no, here it is. It's loading. These are two of my babies, by the way. And I'm also a good community member, so I should help other people, right? So in here, I see how to socialize rats. I'm really good at this. So this is as Molly is asking that. Luke already answered a question, but let me give something else. Try treats. And I'm gonna post it. And this is one of the features that I'm most proud on. This is the pages where I literally had to take my questions model and also my answers model and make an implementation in the same page. I thought that was very complex, and I tried to build my API strong enough, make it as robust so I could do this. And I was surprised the moment that I got in my front and I didn't have much issues about it, and everything was on the API. I thought that was super great. Let's go back. I want to help other people, and I also want to show other features. So see, I created another question long time ago. I have my rat with my swollen belly. I already know it's just a fat rat. Everyone told me that. I got it. So this is what I'm gonna do. Since I created this question, I have the power to edit or delete this question. Since I already know my information, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna delete it, and poof, it's gone. And I can do the same with any other answer I put. For example, in here, tricks, I can help. Post. You know what? I don't want to help. Delete. Just like that. So this is my app. I want to talk a little bit about my models. My models, it's pretty much questions, answers, animals. And this is the most important one, images. When you go to ask a question, you actually here you're placing an image. Image belongs to questions. And this little piece, it took me so much to think about it. But thanks to Danny, we implemented a logic that was super simple, literally 3 lines of code, and make such a big difference. I'm super proud of this feature because I thought about so many solutions that were so complicated, and sometimes it's amazing to see how very well thought pieces of code can be so powerful. So this is my app, pretty much. This is the core map application. Pretty much you're gonna choose an animal, you're gonna ask a question, you can answer other people's questions, and pretty much learn and connect with other people. There are many things I wanna implement in the future. One of the things I couldn't implement on time was to use an external API. So once you choose an animal, if I in my area that are in shelters that you can adopt. And this can be super simple, just with a zip code, you can actually make that GET request. Another thing I wanna have is I wanna improve my, I wanna take advantage of my image models. I think I mentioned how my images is its own model. I didn't take full advantage of it. If you go to one question, you only get to see one image. The idea of having this model is that users can upload multiple images. In the future, I would love to take more advantage of this, of my schema file, and actually let people show more pictures and maybe work on the theme so it can show in a very friendly user way, which that was the main reason why I didn't do it at the end. Another thing I want to be doing is my edits of the pages. I don't think I went through that with you, but I can edit this. You can edit all this. Call me at 33333333333. I'm not a fan of how this edit looks. I can see some improvements. I think I can work with the theme around it. Pretty much time was the only constraint. And maybe the last, 2 more things I want to be doing. I want to be able to, so this works. When you go to one of the questions pages, you can see each answer, how many answers each question have. This is actually not functional. It's just coded, hard coded. Let you know how many replies has a question done. Has enough replies and nobody else needs to reply. And my last thing is I would love to be able to build all my abouts, pretty much maybe established partners. Partners could be anybody who has expertise in a specific animal, who can take the lead and can be like the master voice in any of the question forums. An exotic vet referral. I think everyone who owns an exotic pet, we suffer on finding a vet. and the suggestion animal. I don't have all the animals here. I would love if people can tell me which other animals are popular so I can just add them and we can continue creating community and connect amongst animal people. So that is my app. I'm very proud of it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Liz. And now you know why we call her our rat lady. It's because she has an awesome relationship with rats. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and open it up to Daniel. Questions?
Hi. I'm sorry. I have to sit now.
Oh, Daniel, your internet connection is simply awful. Hold on.
Right. Is it better now?
No, not really. All right. Well, Daniel, why don't you go back inside because this is not working for you.
Well, right. Okay. So why don't Dana can go first and I can go later.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll open up for Diana and let Daniel reestablish his connection.
All right.
Diana, questions?
All right. Yeah. Awesome work. I really like all the exotic animals, especially the rats. I really like how it looks. So you did a really good job. I'm sure you used a theme, but you used it really well. You picked out the best parts. I think it looks really, really nice, very clean. I think you had mentioned this briefly, like you wanted to be able to use some other APIs. Can you just elaborate on that? Like what type of features you would like to pull, what other information you would like to bring in and display?
So I found a Pet Finder API. Pretty much it works by inputting a zip code and a type of animal. So I would have to make some kind of association amongst these animals. For example, it wouldn't work if I just put guinea pig, but if I put small and furry, could work. So I need to make some kind of association and the zip code of the person. So when people sign up, one of the required fields would be zip code. And then I just pretty much would need a GET request to get the information. I was actually able to test it during the external API class. I just didn't have enough time to put it on over here, but that is definitely something I would love to use.
Cool. And I think on one of your pages, you have like a search bar. Is that functional right now, or is that something you would like to add?
No, definitely something I need to add. I think that would be so great. Yes, because I imagine if you have an specific issue, you can just go there and see if someone already asked the question. Totally.
For sure. And also like the idea of categories would also be pretty cool. Like you have a section there where you could use it. So maybe like you could tag your questions and make it a little easier to find common topics. But yeah, overall, there's like a few suggestions, but I think overall you did really well. And I really like the concept. And yeah, great job.
Thank you.
All right, Daniel, how's your internet connection doing over there?
How do I sound now?
Looks a little bit better. All right.
Sorry, I just got out of work and didn't have time to go home. Yeah, so I think this website is really good because I really like the idea. I actually want myself a guinea pig, and I think they are actually really cool. I remember that you mentioned, Liz, during your presentation that you saying that the question command section is one of your more challenging part, and can you tell me a little bit about how did you solve that problem when you try to implement the command section?
The comment section?
Yeah, this is something I remember.
Oh, yeah.
You're saying
so
that
pretty much. Yes, because in all the answers show page, I have the questions show page. I have my questions, and I also have this form right here that lets you write the answer and also display it. Pretty much, I feel like there were many aspects and all the way how to build this, but I feel like the key aspect was my API. I got called because I did some lazy coding in the backend. when I didn't want to invoke my partials correctly, and I did it in a way that I was having troubles. But the moment I did my API as robust as I could, my questions API, I think everything fell into place. So maybe in future projects, I really want to think through my APIs, not just something to display information, but actually think through of the functionality that it's going to have, because I can see make a huge difference. So that's my biggest takeout from this.
Okay. So the answer actually go to the API and got saved to the database, right? The answer.
I didn't understand what you said.
Like the answers that you shown here actually got saved to the database.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Sure. That's all I want to ask. Is congratulations. It's a
Thank you.
wonderful product.
All right, and Jay.
Yeah, Liz, please let me know when you actually launch this on the web, because we have a guinea pig, and there are many times that we have questions. This is a fantastic project. Like the others have said, it looks really nice. Also fully featured, has, I love the fact that the answers can be added dynamically right there without having to refresh the page. What would you say, is the biggest challenge that you encountered working on the project?
I think it was my image model. I made an image model, and I made it with the intention that people could post more than one picture. But then I started running into trouble as I was developing it. So but at the end, I think I have all the logic where this can work. I just didn't take fully advantage of it. It's something I would have to do tomorrow, or the moment I continue working on this app would be that. Because it took a lot of work. I learned a lot from it, and I want to implement it.
Awesome. Well, it's a really, really impressive project. Really nice job.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Liz. Yes, excellent work indeed. And I'll turn on my screen share for the last bit here. There we go. All right, cool. Yeah, so that's it. That's everybody for today. So I want to congratulate everybody for presenting an amazingly awesome project. And seriously, it's been a heartfelt, journey. There's been a lot of difficulty. There's been a lot of triumph. There's been a lot of eureka moments. There's been a lot of, banging my head against the computer. And I've been there for all of it. I've seen all of you go through all of that. And it's been really, really an amazing journey for me personally to watch all of you grow from, 3 months ago when we could, like we mentioned, barely open up our terminals, to now actually creating full-fledged, from the ground up, full stack web applications. So serious props to absolutely everybody for coming through and for, putting those nerves aside and putting those public speaking skills on display and presenting your projects today. So props to everybody. Congratulations to this amazing graduating class. You are all superstars. Silent clapping. Yes, everybody is silent clapping. It's not just me, I promise. Cool. So Jay, would you like to make a last word, last statement, anything like that before we go off for these?
So these are my last words. I just want to thank everyone for joining. I was so impressed with all the projects, and that's about it. Thank you everyone for coming.
That's it. That's all she wrote.
So are we going to have further communication about what's next, Jay?
We will as soon as I turn off the webinar. All right, guys. So to everybody who's watching on YouTube, thank you so much for joining us. And for those of you who are watching in the future, hello for the past, and also thank you for watching. So, all right, we're gonna wrap up for the evening.